Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you more changes that I did or updates that I did for the upcoming new operator for random flow, which is the random symbols operator. So let's go ahead and just subdivide this. So each of this square can represent a single symbol or a font in this case. And we're going to use this for creating alien alphabet or sci-fi alphabets. So random symbols, I now have three presets for this, and let's just use MazeCut 3. So that's what it looks like, and this is MazeCut 5, and walk longest 80. So the solver maze will be a new solver or randomization solver, which will be available for random symbols, random panels, and random loop extrude upon update. So yeah. So this is what it looks like right now with the MazeCut 3 preset, and we can increase the subdivision here to create more details. So the face cut and the base subdivision is what provides the faces for each of the basically the individual symbols here for the randomization to play with relative to the face cut that you're using. Okay, so the new solver, the maze, which will be really good for random symbols, and I also added in a new parameters like repeat seed and probability. So I've noticed that when creating you are using this effect to create like alien decals, specifically like to mimic letters. I've noticed that each individual cell is different. So if I use like 40 cells, each of those 40 cells will be unique. So that doesn't really equate to if you're using the effect to mimic, like, let's say, a fictional alphabet. So there needs to be repetition. Like if you're using like A, B, C, D's, for example, there will be repetitions of A and all the other letters in the paragraph or in a sentence. But in this case, as you can see, there's no repetition. It doesn't look natural. So that's why the repeat seed and the probability parameters have been added. So repeat seed means that the value here means that, for example, if you're using 3, for example, it means that 1, 2, and 3 seed value can be repeated, has the possibility of being repeated uh, in the cells based on the probability percentage here. So for example, if I use 1, you can see a lot of repetitions here, and I can now edit this probability. So for example, 25, and you can see that we have repetitions here, 1, 2, 1, 2. So yeah, so that's the only one that's being repeated right now because we're only using a repeat seed of 1. So if you want more symbols to be repeated, you can use a higher number here. And let's say, for example, 100. And right now we have 1, 2. So that's 1 symbol being repeated, 2, and then 3, and 4. So there's a lot of symbols being repeated. And to make it variable, you need to just use a lower probability percentage to make them kind of mix more realistically. And then you can play around with the seed value. So let's try base cuts. Yeah, increasing the face of division. And let's see if we have duplicates. So there's one duplicate, and two, three. Okay, so it looks more natural. Let's see if we increase the base cut. Repeating patterns. There are a bunch of repeating patterns. So let's try 5. And let's try 20%. So, okay. Now it looks more natural because some of the symbols are being repeated. Okay. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this format here. Okay, so you can see that it looks more natural because of the repeating characters. Whereas if you need to disable this, just to disable this effect, just use the number 0 for the repeat seed. And this is all just purely, each of the cells or the individual symbols are unique. Yeah. If you want it this way, you can do it by just using 0 for the repeat seed. But if you want variability and more realism, you need to introduce duplicates. So let's try 60% with a repeat seed of 4. And it's okay, these are repeated. And other symbols, yeah, this one and this one. I think this one, oh no. Okay, so yeah, there's a healthy dose of repetition. This one and this one. So that's also repeated. Okay. So I noticed that it will start to break down once you introduce triangulation and poke. So it starts to break down. I don't know why. The way that the script is configured, it shouldn't be this way, but it is. So if you want to, say, investigate the phenomenon and try to solve it, maybe the next update. This is not tough to do, so I will leave it. Just probably if I can solve it in time, I'll just leave it in the next update. So yeah, if you want the duplicate effect, you can just use triangulation 0 and poke 0. Okay. I'm going to go to the ring blend file and show you this one here. So this is just an example. So this is an extracted face or faces from this topology here. And there is a new toggle called what is it? There's a new toggle called merged source. So basically the resulting randomization will merge into the source object. So in this case, this is very useful for extracted faces because we can use the proxy mesh to generate the randomization and not go into the trouble of selecting my glasses needs fixing. Not go to the trouble of actually selecting the source mesh and then deleting it. You can just automatically do that using merge to source. So for example, symbols, MazeCat 3, and also the use mirror, I've also made it work with that. So with this, so use mirror means that it's going to use the mirror modifier, and as you can see, we have symmetry. And when you deactivate this, it will use asymmetry, meaning that no mirror modifier is used. So the details are asymmetrical in the entire mesh. And okay, I'm gonna, where did we leave off? Okay, this area here. And so merge to source basically removes the source objects, which again is useful for extracted meshes or duplicated meshes via selection. Then we have don't choose mirror, and this is not using duplication, so repeat seed of 3, for example, with a probability of 80%. Okay, so this symbol and this symbol repeated here as well using the parameters. And this one here and this one. This one. Okay, this one is triple, this one is okay. So probably something like 60%. And play around with the random seed. Actually, I'm going to increase the max value for 10 here. Create a different look for the fonts. That's good. Okay, let's increase the face cut and increase the inner margin, increase the smoothing, and we have thinner lines. Okay, let's look for duplication. Okay, this one here and this one here is duplicated. Also, this one and this one is not purely identical, but they are sort of identical in their look or design. And this three here, this four duplicated. This one here, this two here. Okay, so you can just play around with seed value. So it's much more natural because of the repeated symbols. Instead of everything being unique, to increase this, okay. Get rid of the dots, increasing the max panel island, okay. And we can increase the amount of cells by subdividing the base topology. Okay, now we have more symbols. And we even got this kind of cosmic like a spiral galaxy or something. So this is the this two here is duplicated. This symbol here is also has duplicates. So it looks much more natural. So let's try 6 just to have more duplication or more variation in the duplicated symbols. Okay, so just play around with these parameters and set value to generate more natural looking sentence, alien sentence. Look at that. Let's try and use MazeCut 5 and merge to source and do not use mirror. And repeat of 4 with a probability of 70%. Okay, these symbols are repeated. The symbol here as well. So let's try and create more interest using different seed value. Probably use 50%. Okay. Okay, this two here is definitely duplicates, are definitely duplicates. And this one here and this one here. Okay. So it looks like try and introduce triangulation just to create more lines. Okay, so that's the duplication, and I think you get the idea of what you can do. And there's also this a new section here, which is color. You can change the color of the material and create a new material, and create a new object. So let's try that. Okay, where's the real geometry side of this? Okay, this one here. Okay, so this one here first. And we're not going to merge source because we need to reuse this source mesh. So if you need to reuse the, excuse me. Okay, so if you need to reuse the mesh, do not use the merge to source because it will disappear. So yeah, in this case, I'm just going to manually delete it because I need to experiment. So for example, here, and creating a new color. So what this does is it creates a material called R underscore emit. And that first material in your scene that is created by this operator is called the original R emit shader. And if you are using new material, it will create a new material called R emit, which will then be R emit 0.001 because it's the second R emit material. And then the third one will be R emit 0.002. Okay. But if you, anytime that you toggle this off, it will seek the R emit, the original R emit material or shader in the scene and use it instead. If it doesn't find it, it will create it. Okay. So new material, and as you can see, this is our R emit original right here, which is the yellow. And so in this section here, new material is still toggled on. This will not be turned off every time you use the operator, so just remember that. So it's still creating a new material. So in this case, green, just an example. And maybe I should, no. Random symbols. So this is where I wanted to show you. Since we are set on green, okay, since we are set on green, if you toggle this off, and it will use the original R emit, but it will change it to green because we are using the green on the wheel right now. There we go. So you see that this one here changed to green. So we just need to change it back to the yellowish color. So it's now using the original or the first material developed, which is the R image shade. And that's how you create those different colors. Great. So extraction is pretty easy. The way I showed you from the other videos, you can shift the selection to duplicate it, and then P to separate it via selection, and then just select it and use it for the randomization. In this case, I'm going to use auto mirror. Random flow also has an auto mirror, but it's in the mesh somewhere. You can put it in quick favorites if you don't have creative flow. And to access quick favorites, you need to just use the Q hotkey. Okay. But in this case, I'm just going to use creative flow. And toggle of the Z symmetry. And that. We're back to the old setup. And then auxiliary, merge to source. Do not just mirror. I think it just crashed. Mhm. Yeah, it just crashed. So this is basically the uh, close window. So I'm trying to close the window. So I don't know why it crashed, but it did crash. So that's something to investigate. So recover last session. Oops. And we're just going to, oh, okay. I don't know why it crashed. So, but I'm going to look into it. Recreate the error again later on after video and fix it for the update. Hopefully fix it for the update. Okay, so let's use this tab here and random symbols base cut 3 and scale is 0.4. Let's just mirror. Oh, it crashed again. I think it has to do with the uh, source mesh. Okay, close window. I think it has to do with the modifier setup because this one here is no longer using the subdivision surface. It's probably the subdivision surface that's doing it. But let's try. If it is, then it's probably the subdivision modifier. Okay, random symbols, base 3, and then do not just win. Okay, it's the subdivision modifier. Uh, I should clear out all the other modifiers except for the mirror when using that. Okay, noted. See, that's how you spot bugs by testing the atom. Okay, so let's go back to the cube, and I'm going to show you something. So besides, let's say, besides the symbols, you can also create like can also create a single symbol that is symmetrified. There you go. And just play around with this. So this is the maze solver. And just to create some interesting things, is set for uneven offset. So I'm gonna change that as well. So to create a symbol, so instead of trying to mimic an alphabet, you can then just use this to create a stamp or a single decal symbol. So there's a bunch of options you can use the solvers to create new variations. Um, Also experiment with triangulation and poking. Poking. Something like this or this. Okay, let's try it with a cylinder. So this is the cylinder. And we're going to create a symbol in this. So where's the? I'm going to mirror this X Y. There we go. And just use this. Okay, I'm going to rotate it in the y-axis. 90. So we can see it better in the dark. This, I think, this is caused by the inner margin, the base cut. Of the it's because of the way the faces are actually made. Faces are, so I might put in a new parameter here. The faces are actually, each individual faces are split. That's why we're not seeing the same pattern as random panels. I might change that in the next update to create a toggle or an on off option right here or here as a toggle. So right now doesn't really work that much for cylinder. Okay, so that's for the next scripting session. But for now, this works. Just mirror, create some repetition. There you go. And create more uh, lines. Also increase the maximum panel island to get rid of the dots. There you go. So I might create another short later on, which is lightsaber, and using this to create the writings. So you can also switch off the toggle here. So instead of getting rid of the small islands, it will get rid of the bigger islands first when you get this. Another look, different look for the fonts. There you go. Outer margin and introduce a variability in the scaling. Probably something like 0.4. And you can also uh, random seed that, and yeah, we have this. So in this case, somebody mentioned that these symbols should have meaning, otherwise they're just noise. But in this case, of course, we're using dribbles. That is a result of pure randomization using the topology, so it doesn't come with meaning. You have to create the meaning for this using your concept or your story for your art piece. Okay. If you want meaning beforehand, then you should use randomization that incorporates pre-made symbols, which means that you have symbols like this, which is clearly an arrow that indicates some direction, or like an explosion. So pre-made, but they will be randomized. The positions will be randomized. Maybe their size or rotation will be randomized. But that's how you get meaning beforehand. You used pre-made assets and then dribble that. But in this case, this is randomization based on a randomization solver that is taking advantage of the topology to create this randomized result. So this has no meaning. You have to provide meaning after the fact. Okay, after this is created based on your story. Okay, it doesn't come with meaning. You need to give it meaning, but it it makes it easier for you because of the result. Because the result is good, and it makes your storytelling much easier because of the result. Base, and you want really squarish, you can just toggle off smoothing. So there's a bunch of different looks that you can get with this. You can add notches, and then remove some of the panel islands. Play around with toggle, triangulate, triangulate. Um, I think it crashed again. Wait, I didn't. I just accidentally pushed the base cuts. Okay. So the triangulation and then the poking. So yeah, that is the next update. All this uh new toys for you to play with. Let's just go back to the ring. So I was actually going to create a short for this, but then I got sidetracked with the scripting. Merge to source. Then let's just mirror and then introduce repetition. Lower the probability rate and play around with the seed value. Increase the smoothing. There you go. One ring to roll them all. And is this with 10? Introduce some notches. Okay. There you go. So, look, this looks like a sphinx with a wing. Yeah. So one ring to roll them all, and all you need to do is bring meaning to the randomness of this. What it says, okay? Because it is pure gribble and it doesn't come with meaning beforehand. If you want meaning, you need to use pre-made assets and then randomly place it on the faces. Or emojis. Emojis are like this symbols that has meaning. You know, you can use emojis, but for this, you need to provide meaning after it. The symbols are created. The story will provide meaning to this word, to this alien words. Okay, so that's it, and that's what is to be expected in the next update for random flow, which is the random symbols. I will also fix the no sharp angle error. I thought I fixed that for random flow, but I didn't. I fixed that for creative flow, but not for random flow. So that those errors will also be fixed in the next update of the Atom, along with this new features here. Okay, so you can create your sci-fi models and then just provide like symbols for them, just to because it's really cool to see decals in your model. And another trick is that you can also use Creative Flow to provide them with solidification. And by default, the solidification will be penetrating the mesh. And then you select we select the symbols and then the object you want to Boolean. Go to Boolean objects and then to active, fast. There you go. So you can't see the symbols right now because uh, there's no bevel. So we can select the source menu. You can use the micro bevel and use bevel. And then 0.0001, no, 0.001. There we go. So it's kind of messy, but it's the job. Because of the topology, the underlying topology. Of course, we're using Boolean, so of course it's going to be messy. We just reduce the resolution to lessen the noise around the Boolean object. So you can see it's much more stable now. And also, you can also change the solver to exact. This will be slower, but less noise. Sometimes less noise, but not most of the time. And this one here, we set to shade auto smooth. And there we go. You have the symbols etched into the source mesh with just a couple of shading errors. And you can also use union. You go. And where is the it's in the this one. Solidify thickness 0.005 or 0.02. Oops. 0.002. There you go. So this is union and it actually created an error. So let's just go back to this one and set this back to difference. The thicknesses. There we go. Then solidify Boolean. Do we have materials, index based, or we can use transfer? There we go. So it uses the same material. And you have your etched. Let's go back to the symbols and move this higher. So 5.1. Oh, it's not very still deep. Okay. What's that? Ah, the offset. Wait a minute. Could be that way. Register 5, register 1. Okay, let's just leave it at that. I have no time to fix that. Since it's not the focus of the video. Okay, let's see. It's not parented. Okay, so that's how we create our one ring right here using the random symbols. So apart from a few bugs that we encountered and freezes, I think most of this is good to go. So give me another few days and I will email the update to you. And you just have to go to the store and update your copy in your product library. Yeah. Then we can after that you can follow along with the random symbol videos that I have done in the past. Okay. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, use the comment section below or the links in the description. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you for watching and you have a nice day.